I said yes to a guy who had a crush on me, but not because I liked him. It started as a dare, a joke between friends. I never thought it would mean anything, but to him, it meant everything. He brought me gifts, told me I made him feel seen, even said I changed his world. And the truth is, I let him believe all of it. I played along while he fell deeper, never realizing just how real it had become. Until he found out, not from me, but from a text he was never supposed to see. What happened after that changed both of us. The silence, the confrontation, the way he looked at me like I'd destroyed something sacred. And maybe I did. This isn't a love story. It's not even a heartbreak story. It's a story about trust, about guilt, and about learning what it really means to hurt someone who only ever wanted to love you. I don't even know why I said yes to the dare. Maybe it was the pressure. Maybe it was the way everyone looked at me like I had to prove something. Like if I didn't go along with it, I'd suddenly become invisible. We were all just hanging out after school, sitting in that same spot near the fountain, where half the students pretend to be cooler than they are. Music playing, people taking selfies, trying to act like life is some kind of movie. And someone I don't even remember who just casually said, "You should say yes to him for a week, just to see what happens." And everyone laughed. I laughed too, at first. It sounded ridiculous, cruel even. But then someone pulled out their phone and showed me a photo of him. That awkward smile, the Naruto shirt, the way he was holding a grocery bag like it was a trophy. And the comments started. "He's totally obsessed with you. I bet he's never even held a girl's hand. He'd probably write you poems." It was supposed to be a joke, a dare, one stupid, heartless game. I didn't even know him that well, just glimpses. He was always around, in the background, kind of invisible, but not. You'd catch him looking sometimes, like he wanted to say something but never would. He had this soft, nervous energy like he was always expecting the world to laugh at him. And maybe that's why I said yes. Because for once, I wanted to be the one people laughed with, not at. I wanted the attention, the spotlight, even if it meant using someone who didn't deserve it. So the next day, I walked right up to him, heart pounding, but pretending I was calm, and I said, "Hey, I heard you kinda liked me." His face turned red instantly. He looked like he couldn't believe I was even talking to him. He stuttered, laughed nervously, then said, yeah, I guess I do." I smiled. I made it soft, sweet, like it meant something. "Well," I said, "I was thinking maybe we could hang out. Just see where things go." I'll never forget the way his eyes lit up. It was like someone had turned on a light inside him that had been flickering for years. He didn't say much, just nodded. A little too fast, like he was afraid I'd change my mind if he blinked. That first day, he brought me a chocolate bar, just randomly. Said he wasn't sure what I liked, but he guessed chocolate was a safe bet. The second day, he gave me a small sketch, something he'd drawn himself. It was me, sitting under a tree, smiling. He said, "I don't know if it's good, but I made it last night. Couldn't stop thinking about your smile." God, that should have been the moment I backed out. But I didn't. Instead, I showed it to my friends. We laughed. We passed it around like a meme. We even added a filter and posted it on a private story. And still, every day, he kept showing up. With gifts, with poems, with that same innocent look in his eyes, like he was walking through a dream he never thought would be real. He asked me once, "Why me? Why now?" I shrugged and said, "Because you're different." And I meant that, just not in the way he thought. He was different. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He wasn't pretending to be cool. He was just honest. And maybe that's what made it worse. Because somewhere deep down, I knew this wasn't just a game to him. This was real. But for me, it was just day 4 of the dare. And I could already feel it building, this pressure in my chest, this voice in the back of my head whispering, "You're gonna destroy him." Still, I didn't stop. The next day, we held hands in front of everyone. I made sure of it, right in the middle of the courtyard, while everyone was watching. People giggled, phones came out, and I saw the faces of my friends in the background, mouthing, Oh my God. And he smiled like he'd just been handed the stars. He didn't know. He didn't know that behind that smile, I was drowning in guilt. That every sweet word I said felt like a lie stitched together with thread I knew would snap eventually. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the look on his face, the way he held my hand so gently, like it was something sacred. And the worst part, for a split second, I wished it was real. But it was end single quotes t.it never was, and the countdown had already started. Day 6 was coming, and after that, everything would fall apart. By day 6, something had changed, and it wasn't him. It was me. He was still showing up like clockwork, still smiling like I was the best thing that had ever happened to him, still walking beside me with this goofy excitement, like every second we spent together was a miracle he couldn't believe he was allowed to have. And I kept playing the part. I'd smile. I'd laugh at his jokes, even the awkward ones. I'd sit close to him, hold his hand, let him carry my bag like we were actually a couple. And the truth? I was getting really good at pretending. Too good. But deep down, I could feel it. This slow aching twist in my chest. Every time he looked at me like I mattered. Like I was something beautiful. I felt smaller. Not because of him. Because of me. Because I knew he was falling for someone who didn't even exist. He wasn't in love with me. Not really. He was in love with the version of me I was performing. The version that looked him in the eyes and said, "You're amazing," like it came from a real place. The version that made him feel like he finally belonged. But that version, she wasn't real. She was born out of a dare, sculpted by peer pressure, and held together by guilt. And I could see it every time he looked at me. His smile, it wasn't casual. It wasn't surface level. It was the kind of smile people have when they finally feel seen. When someone chooses them after years of being overlooked. One time, we were sitting on the steps after school. Just the two of us. He was telling me this story about when he was younger, how he used to sit alone during lunch because he didn't know how to talk to people. How sometimes he'd fake being sick just to stay home and avoid the noise of it all. And then he said, "You know, I used to wonder if I'd ever matter to anyone, like really matter." He looked at me then, right in the eyes, and he said, "But you changed that. You make me feel like I'm not invisible anymore." And I just nodded. Because what could I say? That it wasn't real? That I was only there because of some stupid game? That every time I posted a cute selfie with him, my friends would flood the group chat with laughing emojis? I wanted to say something. I did, but I couldn't. I just kept nodding, smiling, holding his hand like it meant something. Later that night, I got a DM from one of the girls in my friend group. It was a screenshot, a picture someone had taken of us, him holding my hand, his smile stretched wide, and me glancing off to the side like I wasn't even paying attention. The caption underneath read, "This is getting sad now." Poor guy doesn't even see it. I stared at it for a long time. And suddenly, I hated all of it. I hated how easy it had become to lie. I hated how far this had gone. And most of all, I hated that I'd let it go on this long just to keep some people entertained. Just to feel like I was part of something. That night, I sat in bed scrolling through our texts. There were so many messages from him. Some of them long, some of them short. But every single one of them was kind, thoughtful. He always asked how my day was, if I was okay, if I needed anything. And he never expected anything back. He just gave, without hesitation, without games. I remember one message. It just said, "You make my world feel lighter." And I broke down, because I didn't deserve any of it. I didn't deserve someone that pure, someone who actually saw me like I was worth something. He was real, and I wasn't. And that realization, it hit me like a punch to the gut. The next day, we walked through campus like we always did, his hand in mine, his smile bright, even in the morning haze, and I started noticing the way people looked at us. Some were smiling genuinely, like they thought we were cute, but some were smirking, like they knew, like they were in on the joke. And every step I took, it felt heavier. like my feet were sinking into something I couldn't pull myself out of. He turned to me and said, "You okay?" And I looked at him, really looked at him. And for the first time, I felt something I couldn't name. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't pity. It was this strange, aching sort of grief, like I had broken something precious without realizing it until it was already too late. I wanted to say sorry. I wanted to tell him everything, to rip the mask off and just confess, but instead, I just nodded. "Yeah," I said, "I'm okay." And I smiled, even though inside, I felt like I was falling apart. I wish I could say I planned to come clean, that I finally found the courage to be honest before it all came crashing down. But the truth is, he found out on his own, and it happened in the most careless, avoidable, stupid way. It was Friday, the last day of the dare, the final stretch, and I remember waking up that morning thinking, just get through today. One more day, then it's done. I actually thought I could just walk away from it, no fallout, no damage, like it was just another trend, another inside joke that would eventually fade into memory. But that's not how it works when the person on the other end has a real heart. We were supposed to go to the park that afternoon. He'd planned it, said it would be our spot, like something out of a coming-of-age movie. He was so excited, talking about it all week. He even brought a little picnic set up in his backpack, said he had something special to give me. I didn't even ask what it was. I just smiled and said, "Can't wait." But earlier that day, during lunch, I made a mistake. I was sitting with my friends, and one of them, Taylor, asked, "So, are you gonna end it today or what?" I laughed, not because it was funny, but because that's what we did. We laughed. I said something like, "Yeah, I mean, it's been cute or whatever, but I'm so over it. He's just too much." And right after I said it, my phone buzzed. A text from him. Too much? And in that second, my whole body went cold. My hands started shaking. My heart just dropped, like straight through the floor. I stared at the screen, hoping, praying that it was just a coincidence, that maybe he was texting about something else. But no, there was more. "I was coming to surprise you." I heard my name. I didn't mean to listen, but I did. And then, "Was this a joke to you?" I couldn't breathe. I just sat there, frozen, while my friends tried to backpedal. "Maybe he didn't hear everything," one of them said. "Just act like it's being taken out of context." But I couldn't even move, because deep down, I knew I'd done exactly what he never deserved. He didn't show up to the park. Of course he didn't. He didn't text again either. Not for the rest of the day. Not that night. And every hour that passed felt heavier than the last. I kept checking my phone, rereading the messages, trying to think of something to say, some way to explain the unexplainable. But how do you tell someone that they were part of a joke, and that you were the punchline? And here's the part that really wrecked me. He didn't block me. He didn't post anything. He didn't lash out or try to embarrass me in return. He just disappeared, like he folded inward and vanished. And that silence, it was louder than any argument. That weekend, I barely left my room. I didn't eat. I didn't scroll. I couldn't even look in the mirror without wanting to smash it. Because for the first time in a long time, I saw myself clearly. And I hated what I saw. I wasn't the girl I thought I was. I wasn't funny. I wasn't confident. I wasn't someone you root for in a movie. I was the villain, the one who ruins the good thing, the one who laughs while someone else is breaking. On Sunday night, I finally texted him, "I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you." It started as something stupid, but it stopped being a joke for me a while ago. "I swear, you didn't deserve this. You were nothing but kind." I was the one who messed everything up. He didn't respond. And honestly, I didn't expect him to. Because if the roles were reversed, I wouldn't have replied either. Monday, at school, felt like walking through fog. People were staring. Whispers followed me down the hall. I could feel the shift, the way the story had spread. And this time, I wasn't in control of the narrative. I was no longer the girl who said yes on a dare. I was the girl who broke the quiet kid's heart. I saw him once that day from a distance. He was walking across the courtyard, backpack on, headphones in, head down. He didn't look up, didn't even glance my way, and I realized then, this wasn't just about embarrassment. This wasn't about popularity or losing face. This was about trust, about how easy it is to shatter someone when all they ever did was believe in you. That's what I destroyed. And the worst part, I didn't even realize how real it had become for me until it was already gone. I kept thinking maybe it would blow over, that he'd just move on quietly, that he'd never bring it up again, that I'd be allowed to disappear from his story without facing what I'd done. But life doesn't let you off that easy. It happened on a Tuesday. The sky was overcast, like the whole day had been holding its breath. I was walking across campus, headphones in, pretending like everything was normal, pretending like I couldn't feel the stairs or the weight of my own guilt sitting on my shoulders like 100 bricks. And then I heard someone say my name, not loudly, just enough that it cut through the noise. I turned around, and there he was, standing just a few feet away. Same hoodie, same worn-out sneakers, same kind eyes that once looked at me like I was someone special. But now, his eyes didn't look soft anymore. They looked tired, hurt, like someone who had finally decided to stop hoping. And before I could even speak, he said it. "Why'd you do it?" Just those 4 words, and suddenly, the whole courtyard slowed down. People stopped. Some pulled out their phones. I could feel it happening in real time, eyes shifting, whispers starting, everyone waiting for a scene. I swallowed hard. My throat was dry. My heart was pounding so loud I couldn't even think straight. I started, but the words caught in my mouth like thorns. He stepped closer, his voice still calm. Too calm. "Was it funny?" he asked. "Was it hilarious watching me fall for you while you and your friends laughed behind my back?" I shook my head. "No, it wasn't like that. At first, yeah, it started as a joke, but then," he interrupted me. "No, don't do that. Don't act like there was some big change of heart. You had so many chances to tell me the truth. You had every chance to stop before it got this far." I looked around. People were filming, watching, but none of that mattered in that moment, because the only thing I could see was the person I'd hurt. The one who used to bring me chocolate and sketches and look at me like I was magic. And now he was just broken and angry and trying not to fall apart in front of a crowd. "I didn't mean to hurt you," I said quietly. "But you did," he replied. "You don't get to decide what hurts someone. You don't get to play with someone's heart and then act surprised when it bleeds." That line hit me so hard I actually flinched. He looked down at the ground for a second, then back at me. "You know what's messed up?" he said. "I really believed you. Every word, every smile, every time you held my hand. I thought it meant something." He paused, then laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. It was sharp, bitter. "God, I even told my mom about you." That's when I felt the tears come, not just from guilt, but from the realization of just how deep I had gone in this lie. How real it had been for him. How many little moments he had collected and tucked away like they were treasures, while I was busy using them for validation. "I was stupid," he said. "I should have known someone like you would never actually." He didn't finish the sentence. He just shook his head, like he couldn't even bring himself to say it out loud. I wanted to say something, anything. I wanted to tell him he wasn't stupid, that I wasn't playing him the whole time, that maybe, just maybe, there was a part of me that started to feel something real too. But what does that even matter when the damage is already done? So I just stood there frozen in front of everyone, and he walked away. No yelling, no dramatic exit, just turned and left, and I swear, that silence hit harder than any scream ever could. And no one said anything to me after. Not really. My friends avoided eye contact. A couple of people looked at me like I was the villain in their favorite teen drama. But the worst part, the absolutely worst part, was knowing they were right. I was the villain. I wasn't misunderstood. I wasn't a victim of peer pressure. I made my choices, and those choices broke someone who didn't deserve to be broken. That night, I deleted the photos, the texts, the screenshots. It felt wrong to keep them, like trying to hold on to something I had no right to touch anymore. I couldn't sleep. His words kept playing in my head like a broken record. You don't get to play with someone's heart and then act surprised when it bleeds. I'd never heard something so simple and so true. That was the moment it all sank in, that this wasn't just a lesson. This wasn't just some teenage drama. This was a person, a real person, and I was the reason he didn't trust people anymore. I kept thinking about what I'd say if I ever got the chance again. Not the rehearsed kind of sorry, not the version that makes you feel better for finally saying it, but the kind that leaves you standing there exposed, admitting the full weight of what you did without expecting forgiveness, because the truth is, sometimes sorry isn't enough. A few weeks passed, and every day felt quieter. People stopped talking about it eventually. The videos disappeared from stories. My friends moved on to other gossip, other targets, other temporary dramas. But I didn't move on. Not really, because every time I walked through the courtyard, I remembered that day. Every time I opened my phone, I felt a pit in my stomach. And every time I saw someone smile at someone else, genuinely, kindly, I thought about how I took that away from him. I didn't see him around much after that. He started taking different routes, different classes. It was like he'd rearranged his whole schedule just to avoid crossing paths with me, and honestly, I didn't blame him. But one day, I saw him sitting alone on the bleachers behind the gym, head down, earbuds in, sketchbook on his lap, and I just stood there, watching from a distance, frozen. Because in that moment, I saw everything I'd taken for granted. His quiet nature, his sincerity, the way he used to look at me like I was the best part of his day, and now, I was just the reason he stopped trusting people. I don't know what pushed me to walk up to him. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was the realization that hiding didn't make me less guilty. Or maybe I just knew I owed him something real for once. So I walked over. He didn't look up, didn't take out his earbuds, but I sat down anyway, a few feet away, and waited. After a minute, he finally glanced over. No words. Just this look like he wasn't sure if he should get up and leave or let me speak. I don't expect you to forgive me, I said quietly. I just need you to know I've thought about what I did every single day. He didn't respond, but he didn't walk away either, so I kept talking. I know I was cruel. I know I made something beautiful feel fake, and I know that no matter what I say, it won't take back how it felt when you found out. He still didn't say anything. But his eyes softened, just a little, enough to let me keep going. I didn't mean to fall into it like that. I started off trying to be cool, trying to impress people who don't even matter now. But you were the only one who was real, the only one who actually saw me. He looked away toward the field, and then he said something I didn't expect. You didn't just hurt me, he said. You made me feel stupid for believing someone could actually like me. And that feeling? It sticks. I nodded, because I didn't know what else to do. I don't want pity, he said. I just wanted something real. And I thought, for a second, that maybe I had it. There was silence after that, the kind that stretches and sits heavy in your chest. Then I said, you did. You had it. Not at first, but eventually, it stopped being a joke. I just didn't know how to say that without sounding like a liar. He looked at me for a long time, not angry, just tired. Do you even know what that week meant to me? He asked. I shook my head. It was the first time I felt like I mattered, like someone chose me. He said it so quietly, and with so much truth. It almost broke me. I'm sorry, I whispered. I really am. Not just for what I did, but for what I took from you. He closed his sketchbook slowly. I don't hate you, he said, but I don't trust you either. And that's when it hit me. Sometimes you don't get a second chance. Sometimes, the best you can do is own your mistake and walk away, knowing you left a scar. And that's what I did. I stood up, I gave him a soft nod, and I walked away, not because I was giving up, but because I finally understood that forgiveness isn't something you get just because you say the right words. It's something you own. And sometimes, you never do. But I carry that with me now. Every time I speak, I ask myself, is this honest? Is this kind? Every time someone trusts me, I remember how fragile that is. And every time I see someone who reminds me of him, quiet, kind, unsure of where they fit, I make sure they never feel invisible. Because if I couldn't protect him from my worst version, I can at least make sure no one else gets that version of me again. That was the last real conversation we ever had. And maybe that's okay. Because some stories don't end with a kiss or a perfect apology. Some stories end with a lesson. And that was mine.